According to an MIT study, job growth in the U.S. can be divided into thirds. On one end are professional and technical jobs held by highly educated workers. In the middle are manual workers and those in sales and other white-collar jobs like mine. And on the other end are service occupations, those that involve helping or caring for others. At no other time in our nation's history has personal economic success been so tied to education and skills training. I sat down with the Director of Economic Analysis for the Department of Commerce, Deidre Myers, and asked her what she believes the chief long-term challenge is that our state faces. And her answer, workforce development. Deidre, have we done a really good job of probably training for certain jobs, or maybe training for the wrong jobs as our economy develops and as the whole restructuring we're seeing in this recent downturn?
I think historically the education system has done a tremendous job of training for the 20th century industries. Manufacturing being an example. The career tech system that we have is very responsive to industry. They partner very closely. They understand what changes are occurring, and they change their curriculum and their skill building to meet industry's needs. I think what's happening, though, is that the evolution of our economy is quickening. And so the institutions that we have in education perhaps don't have the ability to change as quickly as we have seen a variety of the industries change, going back to manufacturing. Or let's look at, in particular, aerospace manufacturing and the change with composites. So not only does it change to robotics, but then there's different types of welding and different types of materials. And with research and development that is happening, those kinds of changes are just happening so quickly. You even think about a computer. How often do we have to upskill ourselves to stay up to date with the latest software? Well, imagine that among every industry. And so when you're looking at higher ed that has a semester-long curriculum, and then you have to get that curriculum in place, it takes a little time. And so perhaps with the new kind of economies that we have, that where industry changes ever so faster, education is going to have to look at becoming a little bit more responsive in terms of time.
But there are certain things that both individuals and then companies and communities can do to prepare for this new economy.
Absolutely. It's lifelong learning is what it's really about, is that it's no longer affordable nor is it practical for a person to think, I am trained. That is a sentence that simply cannot be said anymore by anyone, from somebody who is on the front line of a manufacturing process to a CEO. Management has to change just as much as the manufacturers or the miners or the people who are in service. Every industry is changing. So we have got to actually change our culture a little bit, in that there is no end of education. There is no terminal graduation. There is no terminal degree. Everybody has to completely upskill throughout their work life.
So for a community that's trying to both attract and retain jobs, how important are career readiness certificates and work-ready certifications?
It can be a very important tool for attracting a particular type of industry, or it can be a very good tool for marketing and input into the economy, which would be your labor. What's important is not necessarily the certificate, though the certificate does say something about the level of skills. However, as I have mentioned before, those skills are going to be no longer appropriate 3 years from now. So somebody who has a certificate may not be the right person for the job 3 years from now. So that's just a tool to get people thinking about, do I have what I need to have now, and then how do I continue my growing and my continuation of skill building? I think an area in workforce that is going to become more and more important, particularly in the next 5 to 10 years, is the relationship industry has with education. Historically, we have, as a society, said that our educational institutions, K-12, career tech, higher ed, are responsible for educating and training our workforce. And that is their purview, that is their specialty, and so they'll take care of it. However, as the economy is moving faster and faster, we need to have a feedback loop in with those institutions. And industry, particularly, has got to be part of that feedback. They have got to not just have those partnerships with career tech or with higher ed or the community colleges, but they've also got to forge partnerships with K-12. They have got to get into junior high classrooms with internships and apprentices and other kinds of things. Even for people who are college bound, they have got to see things like a manufacturing floor when they're in 7th, 8th, 9th grade, so that they understand the complexity and the sophistication of an economy and understand that what they're learning in junior high and high school translates into a lifelong career.